Small B2B teams need the pipeline leverage of an outbound sales engine, but lack the budget and headcount to build a dedicated revenue operations division. To bridge this gap, teams often cobble together a disjointed tech stack. They export raw contacts from a static lead database and pipe them directly into a generic AI email writer. The operational philosophy driving this setup is simple: maximize throughput. The system is built to blast as many emails as possible to hit daily volume targets. But executing an infinite volume strategy carries a severe penalty. Firing thousands of generic, untargeted emails directly into spam filters will rapidly and permanently destroy a brand's sender reputation. Sales Hub functions as a deliverability-aware outbound operating system. It provides the infrastructure to scale personalized research while keeping the sender's mailbox healthy. On the left, the traditional stack: fragmented software nodes. On the right, the Sales Hub engine, a unified closed-loop system. Deep inside lies its core constraint: sender reputation. Every action is checked against the outbound mailbox health. We are going to deconstruct this architecture layer by layer, examining how it replaces a chaotic stack with a mechanism that turns a target market into human-approved, measurable pipeline. Modern outbound growth has become a technical problem of scale: how to generate deep research for every prospect while maintaining strict domain safety. Let's build this system from a blank slate, starting with the absolute core. Standard databases provide raw firmographics: company names, executive titles, and headcount. But knowing a company exists is not a valid reason to contact them, especially when selling high-ticket B2B services. To bridge that gap, the architecture requires a deeper intelligence layer, which we see forming here as the company dossier. This node ingests specific data streams. It scrapes live web context, identifies current market triggers, and extracts highly specific decision-maker facts. Once compiled, this dossier becomes the absolute, immutable source of truth for the entire outbound campaign. It dictates exactly why a prospect is relevant to the seller. The system queries this central truth to determine the precise angle of approach, pulling specific evidence to back up the resulting draft. Without this underlying dossier, an AI has no choice but to fill generic templates with empty personalization tokens. With it, the system operates from a position of true prospect comprehension. Letting an AI act on that comprehension autonomously introduces a severe compliance risk. Unreviewed, hallucinated messages can permanently damage a brand's reputation with key prospects. To mitigate this risk, the architecture places a secondary structure above the dossier: the trust gate. This gateway splits the interface into two panes. The operator evaluates the generated outreach on the right against the precise dossier evidence on the left. This review step also ensures the AI adheres to strict messaging boundaries, relying entirely on tenant-owned content cards rather than generic vendor language. While fully automated sending is possible, the system treats autopilot as an earned state. It requires strict quality thresholds, guardrail pause behaviors, and a visible audit log for every action taken. Manual approval serves as a deliberate trust vector, transforming a high-risk AI tool into an explainable, controllable extension of the brand. Now we enclose the entire logic model within an outer defensive layer, the deliverability shell. In this system, deliverability is treated as a structural component. Protecting mailbox health is embedded directly into the daily workflow, rather than buried in an obscure settings menu. The shell relies on proactive mechanics to keep the domain safe. It enforces strict suppression limits and health scoring. It also features reactive automation. If negative signals like hard bounces strike the system, the shell visually tightens, restricting outbound pathways. Traditional cold email platforms lack this reflex. They will blindly push forward with a bulk blast, ignoring warning signs until the domain is blacklisted. This shell is designed to intervene against destructive sending habits. It guarantees the operator sends fewer, higher-quality emails, actively preventing them from burning their domain to the ground. When we flatten out this entire architecture, it forms a continuous, circular flowchart representing the user's operational workflow. The forward motion begins when the user configures the target. From there, the system runs discovery, compiles the dossier, and generates the draft. Next comes the dispatch phase. The user approves the draft at the trust gate, and the message safely exits through the deliverability shell. But the crucial step is the return path. The system meticulously tracks replies, bounces, and ignored messages. By feeding this outcome data back to the start of the loop, the platform organically improves its future targeting logic, draft accuracy, and send time optimization. Because the system handles the heavy lifting of research and drafting, it requires an economic model that scales with its actual output. This brings us to a usage-based credit model. Specific workflow actions, like prospect discovery, enrichment, and drafting, deduct clear, predictable amounts from a credit meter. These costs map cleanly to the actual machine labor taking place, including LLM processing and web scraping, rather than billing arbitrarily for unused software seats. This aligns the platform's economics with its utility. The user only pays when the system performs actual intelligence work. Because the architecture has changed, the metrics used to evaluate outbound success must also leave raw send volume behind. This matrix outlines the 4 categories of metrics that matter in a deliverability-aware system: product activation, campaign health, business health, and quality and safety. Within this matrix, 2 specific metrics prove the system is doing its job. Cost per qualified prospect measures the true efficiency of the business, while guardrail pauses confirms the system is actively holding back unsafe campaigns. By combining these metrics with human oversight and deep research, Sales Hub replaces disjointed spreadsheets, standalone AI writers, reckless email blasters, and manual trackers. It condenses the entire outbound workflow into a single environment driven by unified logic. Growing a modern B2B pipeline requires deep evidence, deliberate human oversight, and strict domain safety. Sales Hub provides the architecture to execute all 3 at scale.